All right, as promised, here's the other video that's going to talk more about the storm system that could be potentially coming by the end of the week. And this one could be packing a punch yet again. So let's break it down. Okay, so this is the GFS model. And this one I just want to point out because this one I would say is being the most robust with the storm system coming on by. And as I put things into motion here, this is starting on the 9th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's actually later on the day, Friday, coming your way. So notice that could swing up as a rain system with some snow back over by Wisconsin, maybe a little bit of freezing rain indicated by pink there. Once again, for central Michigan. Shouldn't be a big deal though. Now, depending on the track of the low, that's going to depend, kind of dictate where the heavier snow goes. So right now, the blue indicating snow looks like it's going to slam parts of the UP as usual, maybe northern lower. And then notice right here, this is where things get even more interesting. And this is where we could really start to see some of those snow totals add up if this is the favorite outcome. This is into the 10th now, so we're talking Saturday. We have that snow still ongoing, and then it wraps up later on into Sunday morning. So this could be a pretty strong storm system. Putting it into effect here, you see a lot of the moisture races off to the east, but just enough slams up into that cold air that we could get a nice snowmaker out of this. And then pretty quiet after that, but we like to dip into model Fantasyland every now and then. And this is indicating the lake effect setup, and that's because, guess what? More cold air is going to be coming our way. Now, I also want to show you the European model because this one does have just a little bit better of a track record, and we're going to round things out with a different model here in a little bit. But this is the European model. This is actually starting with our system coming in for Tuesday really quick with that rain and freezing rain. It moves on out of here, but here's how things start to look once we get a little closer toward that next system coming on through. So this is later in the day, Thursday for us. We're going to start to see some rain come in that lasts overnight into Friday, and the models have been pretty consistent with that. But that's not actually the main system. We're going to see another one develop behind it for Friday into Saturday. Now, the Euro doesn't have anything happening until Saturday morning. So not only are we going to have shifts in the models, but we're having timing not lining up as well. So there is still a ways to go before we know exactly what's going on. This is Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. We have a low pressure centered over Lake Michigan. That means that the UP will be in line for the snow, while the lower peninsula, just like last time, has the possibility to see more of a rain event come out of this. Then, as the low pressure tracks off to the north and eventually kind of sits over northern Lake Michigan, we'll start to wrap the cold air around that. So notice again, this is a little bit different than what the GFS was showing, but still kind of overall the same type of storm system coming in. Rain to the south and east, snow to the north and west. So that low pressure finally starts to move out, and we'll get some snow on the backside of it. Not going to amount to much as, say, a full-blown straight storm system going on through, not one that kind of breaks apart with moisture, dabbles into cold air, low, moves on out. So there's a lot of different things going on here. Now, something else that I like to show is just kind of where the ensemble members like to put the center of the low pressure. And this is literally showing you every outcome from every little ensemble model that's possible. And look at that low pressure position. It could be anywhere from Chicago to Mackinac to Detroit to Lake Huron to Lake Michigan. That's obviously going to have a pretty big impact on our forecast. So we know generally something's coming to the Great Lakes. We're going to see how this pans out. Exact position, though, it's a little too early to tell. Now, things get even more interesting as we keep going along because here's kind of the main snow part of the system. And look at these low pressures. They're kind of everywhere. And I'm showing you the ensembles because that just kind of gives us a better picture of what's going to happen. We like to see more agreement. If there's not a lot of agreement yet, we got to wait until we get some more data in. Now, also the cool thing about the Euro AI enhanced model here, which means that it learns. So the AI can say, hey, when there's a low pressure under these conditions with more pressure systems here, this here, this here, this is what usually happens. And it feeds that into the model so we can kind of cut back on those crazy solutions that don't make any sense. It's really cool. It's almost like having kind of a pseudo human look at things and be like, I know how this works. This is how we're going to tweak it. But here is where it thinks the center of the low pressure is going to be. And I'm showing you the AI version of the European model because that actually has a pretty good track record. It's worked out well for hurricanes. I kept an eye on it with the last couple of snow systems that made their way on through, and it's usually not far off. It cuts back on a lot of the shifting north and south thing. So this one, as you can see, kind of has that low pressure going right through Chicago, over Muskegon, and then eventually over Lake Huron. So that would be more of a warm system for the lower peninsula, but putting the upper peninsula right in line with some of the heaviest potential snowfall, and then it makes its way on out of here. So if you want a system to lean towards, not take, for 100% here, but to lean towards, I would definitely lean towards this one for the track of the system. And once you nail down the track of the system, the rest of it kind of falls into place. So I'll do more update videos, but this is one that I just wanted to point out that is something we should be watching pretty carefully. So with ensembles, it's all about probability, and the probability is really interesting here because this is the probability for 3 inches or more. And notice it has the areas that you would kind of expect, right? Northern lower into the upper peninsula, maybe a little too far south compared to what we just saw in terms of the low pressure placement, but that's the beauty of ensembles. Again, we'll just wait until we get some more information and see how things evolve as we get a little bit closer. I can also flip it over to the possibility for 6 inches or more, and yeah, we're down, in the 20 to 30% range here, which is sizable, but not a slam dunk. So definitely something to watch here as well. I don't think we're looking at a super major impactful storm system. It's definitely going to be impactful, but I do think that 6 to 8 inches out of this one would probably be on the higher side. It's just not looking like it's going to be that organized or have the dynamics that we need to see some heavier snowfall come out of this. Now, lastly here though, I do want to show you the potential for all precip. If you melt it all down into water, this is how much just water could be coming out of whether it's, snow, freezing rain, rain. This is the possibility of 1 inch or more of just water total, period. And notice we're getting high up there, 70 to 80% for areas like Holland, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, over into the Thumb and the Saginaw Bay as well. So this could be a good soaker. And again, we'll have to watch out for the possibility for some localized flooding there.